Very much. And thanks everyone for coming today, and thanks Tech Talks for a great event. So my name is David Atkins. I'm a solution architect at Progress. So before I go on to who Progress is, and some of you may know, but the title, Disrupting the Digital Experience. You've probably heard digital experience talks before. This one is hopefully going to put a slightly different spin on digital experience and how we approach it, and give you some of the best practices that our customers have been successful with as the way that they apply digital experience. The Progress, we've been around for almost 40 years. If it was next year, we'd be having a really big celebration right now. But we're one of the best kept secrets of the software industry in many ways. We have had a go-to-market strategy for the most of those 39 years through ISVs, OEMs. So we are used in many applications. And you probably touch us on a daily basis without even realizing it. So we have nearly 2,000 application partners that build systems with our technology, and then they take them to market. So that there's over 100,000 organizations using business systems with our technology and the customers of those ISVs. Of them, there's 6 million business users using systems every day, and those touch hundreds of millions of people. So if you bought a Subway sandwich, the point of sale is us. If you rented a car at an airport recently, there's a 75% chance it used our system to book that thing. If you've got a mortgage in the last 25 years, there's about an 80% chance it used a progress-based loan origination system. If you financed a GM car, or if you bought anything on eBay, then you've used our business rules engine. You can touch Progress without knowing it, and you do all the time. We're one of the best kept secrets of the IT industry. And we're headquartered just up the road in Bedford, Mass, although a lot of us just moved to the Burlington office, even closer just up the road here today. And we also have, because of a recent acquisition called Telerik, we have over 2 million developers globally using our development tools now. So a very well established, very mature company, which is a little different to some of the other companies here, in that we have the history to build up a very diverse customer base across many different verticals and many different products. So I'm not going to go into details on any of these. The only thing to say is the ISV column should probably be wider, because as I said, we go through ISVs and OEMs a lot, but we have a blue chip customer base across a wide variety of products.
You've got the Army, not the Navy.
One of our customers has the Army and the Navy. One of our customers, one of our partners, the ISVs. So we have a portfolio, and we've renamed this portfolio, but essentially it grows and shrinks over time with different capabilities. But the common theme these days is digital experience, because I'm lucky as a solution architect that I get to touch pretty much all of the different pieces on here. Most of my peers are specialists in one area or another, and they're much deeper in their knowledge than I am, but I get to play with everything, which is kind of cool. I feel like I'm a kid with Lego bricks sometimes, but it's because I get to touch everything, I've got to see how everything does kind of coalesce nicely under the umbrella of digital experience. Because as you'll see as we go through this talk, a lot of these products can play a significant role in presenting and creating compelling digital experiences. And I'm not just talking here digital experiences for customers, I'm talking for partners, for your internal employees, and a specific subset of those, analysts in particular, data analysts. So I'm not going to give you a hard sell on all these products, because I have 15 minutes. But what I am going to focus in on is digital experience. And I'm not going to really be talking just about what I think, it's what Forrester think and what our customers have thought. So a few data points from Forrester. This is one of the reasons why we focus in on digital experience. It is the #1 CIO priority right now. And if we dig further into what are digital experience priorities, it comes into self-service, omni-channel, and personalization. So you need to get your message out for your business, to your customers, to your partners. The way to do that is, I'm going to go in reverse order here, well, almost reverse order. You can't just rely on a website. You've got to go omni-channel. You've got to go web, you've got to go mobile. You've got to support not just web and mobile, but different interaction patterns with those different channels. You've got to do conversational UIs. You've got to do whatever makes sense. You've got to adapt to the audience, and we enable that. Personalization, gone are the days when you can have a static website with static content. You have to track how users are interacting with you, be it through the website, mobile apps, anything else. You've got to correlate that with data about purchase history from the ERP, data from the CRM. You've got to sort of get this 360 view of the customer, kind of like what Board are doing. It's the same approach. You've got to pull all of that data together And that drives how you choose to personalize each individual user's experience of your website, your mobile app, everything like that. That makes it more relevant for them. It also increases the chances of a conversion, a subscription, a purchase, a download of a white paper, or an eval, whatever it is for you, if you can personalize the content and make it more relevant. And this does apply beyond just customer experience. So I talked earlier that this is a slightly different spin on digital experience. What I mean by that largely is that this applies to internal users, to business users of business systems within your organization. You need to think about their digital experience too. And in their case, personalization is just giving them the data they need to do their job and the functionality they need. You don't distract them with the functionality of data that all of the other 5 different personas in the business need as well. You just focus it, keep it focused so they're as productive as possible. And then self-service, particularly in customer experience, the demographics are that modern users don't want to talk to people, they don't want to interact with people. And I kind of fall into this category, that's because I'm anti-social. But self-service, I mean, it could mean people just want to find things more easily, it could mean they want to book their own appointments. It means different things to different people. It can be checking order status, not having to interact with human beings makes a big difference. But the starting point for digital experience for most organizations is customer experience. And that's where the revenue is typically. As I said, you've got to get your message out to your customers, you've got to drive leads, conversions. And the priorities here, as we said, personalization, omni-channel, self-service, but it's marketing-led, it's operational. You need to think beyond that though. You may not be a B2C company, you may be more of a B2B company. This is somewhat similar in terms of the goals. You're getting your message out to your partners, but it's probably also a little bit more operational and a little less marketing communication. You have probably more transactional things like placing orders, getting updates, maybe running reports against data from you to provide to your partner. So there's a little bit more operational, a little less marketing involved here. But the other expectation with B2B integrations, B2B digital experiences is, they want to automate processes. They want to be able to query your inventory levels through an API. So APIs are very critical to B2B digital experiences. So we can't just think about visuals and websites and mobile apps. It's more than that. It's certainly including APIs. It also includes the ability to securely and with a good governance framework exchange data, file-based data with that business partner. They probably want to upload orders through EDI files. Excuse me. They might want to upload a batch of health insurance claim information. It could be any kind of data, but they want to have the confidence it's going to be encrypted, it's going to be sent to the right person, that there's a security model on the back end that only the right people can get to it. They're going to want to know, especially in healthcare and finance, there's an audit trail. There's an immutable audit log of who's touched this, who's accessed it, who's able to do that sort of thing. That's critical as well when you're talking about B2B digital experiences. It's having that secure file transfer infrastructure with governance. And our product, Ipswich Move It, does that in a really good way. Now for both of these, in terms of websites and portals, we have a really awesome product called Sitefinity. I imagine some of you are probably using it for your websites without necessarily even realizing it. It's probably, because of the history of the product, there's probably well over 100,000 websites that are using Sitefinity. And we have some major blue chip names using it as well. But its differentiator is that it's very, very good at enabling self-service for marketers, digital marketers, to create their own websites, to customize them, to upload content without involving IT. But when they do need to involve IT, the developers like working with Sitefinity. But there's a component of it called Digital Experience Cloud, which is a cloud customer journey analytics engine that takes that data, as I said, from the purchase history, from the ERP, the CRM data, the clickstream analytics from the website itself, correlates it all, and categorizes users into personas or scores them against a lead scoring campaign, and then allows you to personalize the experience on the website based upon that analytics. And then it does the same analytics against everyone else's clickstream analytics. So it can come up with recommendations. This person's done X, Y, Z. If you show them this banner ad and put this form on the page, there's a 20% higher chance they're going to actually download or go for that eval. But the biggest overlooked thing, I think, in terms of digital experience is keeping it focused on just the customer and the partner. If you bring it internal and think about digital experience in a more holistic way, about everyone that interacts with your organization digitally, including your own people with employees, then that's where you start to really get more and more and more benefits from thinking about digital experience. And this is very much more operational. This is around the benefits of doing this is that you drive efficiency. Every day, people working with users of your business systems can be more efficient if you optimize the digital experience. If you take a UX, a user experience first approach to creating the right interface to your business systems based upon what each individual user does in a day-to-day job. It's kind of like we said with the customer experience, to show them the relevant adverts, the relevant data. With internal employees, you show them the relevant data to do their job, the relevant functions, but you don't distract them with a lot of digital clutter of things that are just not relevant to their particular role. So you can make them more efficient. You can also, by doing that, make them more engaged. And there's research to show that more engaged employees does directly affect the bottom line of the business. So it's worthwhile just in terms of making people a little bit happier, more engaged in their day-to-day job, to actually think proactively about the digital experience of your internal employees. I know I've worked at companies with, I can't remember the name, I think it was ACPAC. It was a really crappy CRM and I hated it. It was so nice when I got to a company with Salesforce. And I'm sure you've all got your own experiences with that. I love Workday for expenses and that. But in particular, I guess one more use case here, one more benefit of this is that you can actually attract and retain employees more effectively. We've worked with customers where the focus of our modernization of business applications was driven by the fact they had highly seasonal business, they needed to onboard for a short period of time sort of unskilled young workers, and they had character-based point of sale, and these 18-year-olds working for 2 months at their peak periods, and they had no clue how to use. They're trying to touch the screen on a character blue screen point of sale. It just doesn't work. So we help them put in place a tablet, roving tablet point of sale, roaming around the store, just like an Apple store. And those people love that. They'd actually stay and work there for the 2 months. They wouldn't quit after a week. So you can retain and attract and retain employees as well through focusing on their digital experience. But I think a very important subset of those employees is analysts. And this is really anyone that does data analysis. And obviously this is extremely data-centric, but I think the other key thing here is this concept of BYOT, bring your own tool. Thinking about personalization as a key facet of digital experience. In the case of analysts, personalizing is all about standardizing. By standardizing access to data, you give each individual analyst the luxury of choosing their tool, bringing their own tool. So if they're a Tableau expert, if they can get all the data they need through standardized SQL, JDBC, ODBC access routes, then they don't have to use siloed proprietary ways to analyze data. They can get at everything in an open way. Open analytics is the industry term for it. So by standardizing data access, you enable personalization for for analysts' digital experience by allowing them to use tools they're familiar with and they're more productive with. And by thinking more broadly like this, beyond customer and partner experience into employee and analyst experience, you can mature your digital transformation maturity from sort of the beginning phase, where you're really focused on just transforming customer experiences, to intermediate, where you're touching the digital experiences of so many stakeholders that you can actually start to transform how your business operates. And ultimately, that might get you to the point where you can start to be transforming more than just your own business, but your business is so novel and so efficient, it can actually be transforming the industry already. So think about people like Peloton. They've got an incredibly experience-centric approach to disrupting the sort of the home exercise and gym equipment market. Or WeWork. They take a very personalized approach to leasing space in offices and meeting rooms, totally disrupting the sort of traditional commercial real estate model. And it's all experience driven. And there's direct correlation between your maturity on that digital transformation journey and your growth. There's so much higher percentage of people getting more than 10% annualized growth in the advanced and intermediate stage compared to the beginner. So this is definitely worth embracing, and I think embracing it with this holistic view is very important. So I talked about analytics before. It's front of mind in terms of digital operations, but there's some challenges to analytics today. And Vertic has sort of touched on a few of these, but some of the others are the fact that more and more data today is hidden behind APIs. If you're using SaaS applications, you can't query a database with a SQL query directly. File-based data integration doesn't sound like anything new, but the thing that's new there is the level of security and governance that's around that. There's so much more, you have to track data, who's got access to it, where it is. There's so much more expectation of being adhering to regulations around security for file-based data integration. And then in the cloud, if you want to integrate your data up into cloud applications, or this is a bit of a cryptic icon, but this means hybrid data integration, cloud to on-prem, on-prem to cloud. Those are not easy problems to solve from a security perspective. We have great solutions to those. Data Direct Autonomous REST Connector will provide you a SQL view of a REST service. So it will automatically query that JSON response from a REST service, create a relational schema from it, and then it will translate SQL queries into the appropriate JSON queries against a REST service. So it allows analysts to bring their own tool, use their familiar SQL queries against a relational schema, and yet be pulling data from the REST API. Ipswitch MoveIt provides a secure managed file transfer solution, incredibly widely deployed, very, very popular. And it's not only encrypted everywhere, but it has a really good governance model on the back end of who can do what. It has an immutable audit log of exactly everything that's happened to that data. And it has an automation engine. So you can pull those scripts that you have dispersed all around your organization around how do you move files from this folder to this application, consolidate those into a centralized automation server, and have governance around the scripting of your file transfers, as well as the access and the audit logs. And then all of that cloud integration is covered by Hybrid Data Pipeline, which has got some very cool proprietary capabilities around security. You probably got the impression here that the more broadly you think about digital experience, the more tools, the more servers, the more applications are involved in delivering that customer experience. That just makes it more and more and more important that you actually take a very proactive approach to monitoring all of the different components that are enabling that service. So if you want to assure the quality of your digital experiences, you have to be proactively monitoring all of those moving parts. The network infrastructure, the applications, and What's Up Goal from Progress Ipswitch is designed for exactly that.